Hello, everybody. This is Tom Albano from Empty the Bench, and wow, what just happened? We just witnessed something absolutely incredible. We just witnessed perhaps, I don't even want to say perhaps, let's call it what it is. I know he's won an interim championship, but that was the biggest win of Dustin Poirier's career. Right there, that was something absolutely freaking special. So, and we witnessed some other things. We witnessed quite a couple of upsets on this card, and we witnessed a hell of a debut from Michael Chandler. So, there's just so much to talk about, so little time, so many differing variables, and just an absolutely fun time. And yes, I am by myself this time around. I mean, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. So, but I want to start off with, actually, let me throw up a little banner for this right away. There were a number of reports for UFC 257, apparently all night, from fans, different media members, celebrities, even the UFC's own fighters, that the pay-per-view was having some streaming issues on ESPN Plus. Supposedly, all right. All right, I apologize. It's just me here. So if I get distracted by something like one of my editors or friends texting me, that's just how it is. But yeah, a lot of people apparently had streaming service technical difficulties, and just had a hell of a time trying to watch this pay-per-view. Most people apparently didn't get their service until around the time of Joanne Calderwood versus Jessica I, which, I was saying it all over Twitter, which you can follow me at Thomas J. Albano. That's unacceptable. For them to increase the pay-per-view price to $70 and then just have a horrendous time, trying to get fan service, about 50% of people of a service that is needed, during all this, like, that's not. I don't know, man. That's really bad on the UFC's part, and they gotta make up to fans somehow. I saw some people were able to start getting a refund around the time of that. Like, some people got the service for the pay-per-view, and then it dropped on them, and then they just said, you know what, screw it, I need a refund. I don't want to do this anymore, and that was that. And then there were people, who got the service around the fight, or some people just gave up. Like, the UFC needs, or ESPN need to figure out a way about this, because it's sad how they just could not seem to handle all the traffic that was coming in. Because I did not have too many problems personally. That didn't really drop off for me at any point. But for as many people as were clamoring about this, and then ESPN Plus doesn't release a statement until like 90 minutes later, that's not good service. So they got to offer refunds. They got to open like the replay window for this earlier, or hell, even broadcast it on TV. I don't know. It's just, that's not the way to do this. So now let's get into the fights. Let's talk about it, guys. Dustin Poirier. He is the first man to KO or TKO Conor McGregor. He does it in the second round of the main event tonight. Yes, Conor McGregor has been finished in the past, but it's always been by submission. Dustin Poirier is the first man to knock him out. So McGregor actually was doing very well, by the way. It was a great first round, high action from the start. McGregor was on the front foot. They went to the fence, and they started trading shoulder barges, the shoulder barges that led McGregor to his win over Cowboy Cerrone last year. They're talking to one another. McGregor actually landed a lot on Dustin's face during the fight. while Dustin was working the low kicks, the calf kicks, and that probably might have helped him in the second round when those low kicks and calf kicks might have helped lead to when he tagged McGregor, I believe with a left hand. As McGregor, he was doing well again, but McGregor got tagged, and then Poirier just put on the pressure, threw punches and bunches, and McGregor went down. Herb Dean stopped the fight. That was it. That was, again, I think the biggest win of Dustin Poirier's career. So now, where do we go from here with the lightweight division? Khabib, obviously, if you saw the pre-show with me and according to Woods, and we talked about the report from where Khabib actually told a Russian media outlet he still has no desire to fight, despite Dana's little announcement of sorts, in which, he's observing what's going on. If that's the case, then Dustin Poirier needs to be in a title fight. Because let's take a look at the bigger picture here at the lightweight division. So if Khabib truly doesn't want to fight, he's out of the picture. McGregor's out of the picture. Ferguson's out of the picture. You have Charles Oliveira, and that's going to be an interesting situation with him. Justin Gaethje, of course, the former interim champ, but he just lost to Khabib. And then we'll get into the other lightweight fight, but that pretty much damages a McGregor-Khabib too. Not just for this title fight, not just for the next fight for Khabib to go to 30-0 that Dana wanted. That damages it, at least for now, if not permanently. It was damaged in my mind already after all the fiasco, after their first fight, all the fiasco of 2019. In my mind, McGregor Khabib 2 should be done. Ex-nay, done. And same thing with a McGregor fight with Manny Pacquiao. I guess that's less, damaged because, that's boxing. McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather in 2017 because of how well he did in the UFC and how well his marketability was and all that. All right, 1 second here. But yeah, so I don't know where McGregor goes from here. Maybe give Justin Gaethje his payday. Justin Gaethje is a legitimate talent in this division. Like I just said, former interim champ. He and McGregor and Gaethje has shared some words in the past. Maybe the Gaethje fight is what's going to help bring McGregor back, or helps elevate Gaethje to be a bigger star in this division, or both. Dustin Poirier, if he wasn't considered a star, because obviously Conor reaches a whole new different audience than most MMA fighters reach. This should elevate Dustin, to that audience. So I think Dustin deserves a title shot after this. And again, I don't even have interest in a Poirier McGregor 3. At least not immediate. Maybe you need to give each guy 1 or 2 more fights, and maybe a Poirier McGregor 3. But McGregor, unless Dustin wants to do a third fight and Conor wants to do a third fight, then maybe you consider it. But if we're talking about just general picture and what I want next and what everybody else wants next, I don't want a trilogy fight right away. I don't want Conor Khabib 2 at all. And I don't want Conor to fight Pacquiao. Poirier, I think, deserves a title shot. 2 great wins against Hooker and now McGregor. He nearly submitted Khabib. He gave Khabib a scare in the 3rd round of their fight. He ended Max Holloway's winning streak, although Holloway didn't look as good at lightweight as he did at featherweight. So I think that's my opinion on Dustin Poirier. Let's talk about Michael Chandler. Whoo! Justin Gaethje had a great UFC debut when he came over in 2017. This gives that competition. Oh my God. Okay. So Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker, I think he's another guy who, was just working the low kick, even though Chandler was on the front foot. And then late into the first round, boom, drops Hooker with the left, follows it up on the ground, fight over, first round knockout. I criticized Jason Herzog. Horrendous job of the stoppage. He was seconds late, like a good 3 or 4 seconds, a little too late after the fight should have been stopped. And I think it was just an absolutely dominant, well, I shouldn't say dominant, but it was a strong debut, an excellent debut for Mr. Chandler, the former Mr. Bellator. And I found it so weird how they were name dropping Bellator. Like Anik introduced him as the former Bellator champ during the weigh-ins, and Bruce Buffer announced him as a former Bellator champ. They never mentioned Bellator on UFC broadcasts. Never. So, big on Chandler. That elevates him. I agree with According to Woods. I think that even elevates Bellator, even though Bellator, in my opinion, is the number 2 promotion in the world. So yeah, elevates Chandler. He has, I will eat my words. With that, he has now shown that he can compete and he can be considered a legitimate contender in this division. He's with that win over Hooker, a first round knockout, and actually that makes 3 in a row, I think, of first round knockout wins. Hooker, and then at the end of his Bellator run, beating Benson Henderson in August, and I think at the end of 2019, crap. Why am I name farting? Why am I brain farting on this name? Who did he beat in Japan? He beat Sidney Outlaw. That's right. But that's 3 first round finishes. And with this win over Hooker, like I said, who was a legitimate contender in the UFC lightweight division, he going into this, Michael Chandler has earned that status. If you don't believe in Chandler now, I don't know what to tell you. It's time to believe the hype. So, like, it's very easy to say, you know what? Let's make Poirier versus Chandler for the vacant championship. But then you add Charles Oliveira into the mix. I mean, it's tough because Oliveira definitely deserves title consideration. But these 2 knockouts tonight, goddamn, just goddamn. Dana's going to have some thinking to do. And, I think he needs to have a plan in case Khabib doesn't want to fight anymore. Because if the man doesn't want to fight, the man doesn't want to fight. He's 29-0 and he beat Poirier, beat McGregor. So I don't want to see Khabib fight either one of them. Because that's the other situation. If Khabib does stay and go for 30-0, McGregor, he just lost to Poirier. Khabib just beat Poirier not too long ago. So I don't want to see that again. Unless Khabib really, really, really wants to. So it's tough. What do you do with that? All right. So now let's get into the rest of the card here. Joanne Calderwood, Jessica I. Quickly going to go through these next 3 fights. All right. Here's one I get to actually tip my hat. And well, not tip my hat, but I get to say I told you so, basically. Calderwood, I said, has just a little bit more striking on I, and basically that's what it seemed like. It was a pure striking battle, but Calderwood connected very well on the inside, landing some elbows, some good punches, worked combinations well. And I think JoJo, this should elevate her to that title fight that she had lost with the Maya fight. And Jessica I, where do you go from here? I don't know. Probably that down to like the middle contenders of that contender rankings sheet of the UFC's, because that's quite a few losses in a row, and she's got to have a rebound sooner or later. But she's already in her 30s, so I don't know where she goes from here. Not to say she's not legitimate talent. She is. She absolutely is. She has really, really showed that ever since the flyweight division opened up and she returned to the UFC in 2018. Mahmoud Muradov, great win over Andrew Sanchez. Just good domination all around in terms of the striking, just an outclassing. Muradov, I think, is a guy, you need to have an eye on in his division. And then Marina Rodriguez upsets Amanda Ribas. Okay. Man, I thought Ribas was going to take the fight to the ground and ride that fight out for the whole time and earn a decision win. I did say it was tough to defeat Marina Rodriguez. And now both of them have one loss on the record because Marina Rodriguez obviously was coming into this fight off her first ever professional loss to Carla Esparza last year. So now Marina Rodriguez has just shown, Amanda Ribas, I think, still a bright future. She's going to come back from this. And I still think she is legitimate talent in the strawweight division. So Marina Rodriguez has also shown, she can bounce back from a loss, and she is still legitimate talent in the strawweight division. So quite an interesting night. And then, of course, not a lot of finishes on the prelims, but some notable entries. Brad Tavares, impressing. I thought that was going to be Antonio Carlos Jr.'s, way up into the rankings, but Brad Tavares keeps it, gets a big win. Matt Frivola, good effort, but according to Woods and I said, Sarukian, that was just his fight. Pena, Sarah McMahon was doing very well in her fight with Juliana Pena. Just great submission work by Pena, great grappling work, ended up catching the submission. Khalil Roundtree Jr., just a really disappointing performance against Marcin Prachnio. I mean, it was a great fight. They were throwing some bombs, but I think Prachnio just got the better of him. And Roundtree, I think there was a point in the second round where Roundtree could have finished Prachnio. For whatever reason, he couldn't. So back to the drawing board, or does he go into retirement again? I don't know. Movsar Evloev over Nick Lentz. Definitely a nice win for Evloev. I don't understand the split decision in favor of Lentz. Lentz was good, but it was good in the first round when he had a barrage of punches because he wore out as time went on. And then good win for Amir Albazi to open things up against Zaglas Sumagulev. All right, it's late. I'm tired. I still have some writing to do for Fansided MMA, so catch my articles there on Fansided. And thank you for tuning in to just an absolute flurry of content here on Empty the Bench. Conference championship stuff obviously will come tomorrow, so follow us along on Twitter at ETB Sports, at ETB Sports on Instagram, and of course stick here on Facebook Live. Thank you again to Zig Fracassi and According to Woods for joining us on streams earlier today. And that's going to do it for me. I'm Tom Albano, and we'll see you next week for Empty the Bench episode 70. Till then, take care.